Hey guys, well, switching gears from the Packard to the 6.0 now. Worked on this pickup quite a bit over the years. This is an 06 6.0. Right now, so a guy called me, my customer did, and went over there yesterday and looked at it. And first thing I did was I looked at it. Quit on them. They had to have it hauled back. They had a stock trailer on it with some cows on it. They were hauling to the sale or something, and it quit on them. And then they hauled it back on a gooseneck and dropped it off at their shop. So I drove over there yesterday and I looked at it, and the first thing I did is hook my scan tool up on it to see any codes in there. And then I wanted to look at, on these 6.0s, you always look at, when you get one that quits on them, you always want to look at your injector control pressure, ICP. You want to look at your FICM voltage. The input and the output should be around 48 volts. And because if you don't know what a FICM is, that's a fuel injection control module that amplifies the voltage from 12 volt DC to 48 volt DC. That's how your injector coils work. Okay, injector control pressure. You're gonna have an IPR valve, the injector pressure regulator, back on the high pressure oil pump underneath the turbo. That's going to, basically that's just a valve that opens and closes. That valve will, the more it opens, the less pressure you have. The more it closes, the higher the duty cycle goes. And basically it's blocking off the return path is what it's doing, and makes the pressure go higher. So anyways, I had good ICP, and I had FICM was working fine, and I had a good crank signal and a good cam signal. So I had everything that I knew except for fuel. So that was when I popped the filter out, and I noticed that the fuel filter was black, and he said, I just changed that not very long ago. This guy keeps up with his maintenance pretty well. He does change his oil and his filters pretty regularly. And I looked at it and I felt it with my fingers, and I said, that's carbon. I said, we went and got another fuel filter, and it fired right up. But then it started knocking, and then it died. So what is going on here, guys, is you'll have an injector stick open, and what it'll do, the compression gas from whatever cylinder that's on goes back up through the fuel system, and what it'll do two things. It aerates the fuel with compression gas to where the other injectors start misfiring, and what it eventually does, it'll shove all the fuel out of that filter, and it'll shove it back to tank. And this filter, sometimes they'll be completely empty, and sometimes they'll be about half full, but you'll see it. Let's crack this real quick, and let's see, let's make sure. He's got another one of their ranch pickups that's a 01, the 7.3, and they lost the U-joint went bad, and it screwed up where the knuckle is, where the U-joint is, and they needed a new axle, and he called Ford and they discontinued it and said can't get them anymore. And I've got one out there in that wreck pickup I'm gonna have to go pull out and sell to him. So it looks like we'll be parting those out. Get my own junkyard started here. Let's pull that out of there, and let's crack that filter right quick. I forgot to turn the lights on this side of the shop. I haven't turned them on yet. Trying to find a foothold here. Let me stick you guys up here. Let me get a light. I'll be back. Let's get the old scan tool fired up here. Let's cycle the key numerous times and let that lift pump go through its complete cycle, and get the fuel system primed back up to where it'll actually halfway run for a little while before it decides to fall on its face. I just got done calibrating a couple controllers on a 7830. The SCVs, I calibrated those, and the hitch controller, and got that one done, so it's on its way out of here. Not much equipment work going on, but that's pretty normal for this time of the year. Everybody's either done planting and all the stuff's setting still and they're not using it right now. So it's not really abnormal for there not to be a lot of tractor work right now. Let that go. Diagnostics. We want to go to Ford. Standalone. Diagnostics. And then we want to go over here to automatic selection. Let it read the VIN off the PCM. Ford calls it a PCM, a powertrain control module. Cummins calls it an electronic control module, an ECM. Everybody has their own nomenclature for things and terminology. It'll decode the VIN on it to tell me, yep, that's what it is. I probably shouldn't have done that right in the middle of the system data loading because it was communicating with it. That probably wasn't the smartest thing to do. I didn't think about it and I cycled the key right in the middle of that. It still worked though. Okay, so let's go ahead and I don't know, I cleared them yesterday when I was out there, but I don't know if anything came back. Let's go to continuous memory. That's what CMDTCs mean, continuing memory diagnostic trouble codes, if you're not familiar with that. Wakey wakey, eggs and bakey. Cylinder number 5, contribution balance, cylinder number 8. So we have to keep those in mind. I'm gonna clear them. So we might have more than one problem. And I put injectors in this thing a couple years ago from Ford. I'm gonna erase these and see if they come right back. Okay, and another thing that we can do is, this one doesn't really have a misfire monitor where it tells you what cylinders. You gotta actually cut them out. So I'm gonna go with number 8 first. I'm gonna cut it out. Now, when you're cutting these out, okay, you have to keep in mind sometimes cutting that cylinder out is not gonna, especially if you're getting an aerated fuel problem. Sometimes the preceding cylinder in that firing order or on that bank, I should say, can cause the problem with this cylinder. So you have to be careful with that. So let's go ahead and do number 8 and be ready to go. I'm gonna cancel that. I don't need that function. Okay, it is. So we're gonna disable number 8. Number 8 is not doing anything. Okay. Let's go to number 7. Number 7's working. Let's go to number 6. Why? Number 6 is working. Damn it, I pushed the wrong button. We're gonna have to do the, it's getting bad. We gotta cycle our key numerous times and get our fuel system primed back up again because she's starting to fall on her face. What's happening is the fuel system, the compression gas is higher than the low side fuel pressure, and it's pushing it back to tank. It's aerating the fuel with compression gas. So we'll do number 5. We'll keep on going on down the line, but we know number 8, but that doesn't necessarily mean. I've had this happen before, and you read the Ford instructions, and it'll tell you the preceding cylinder can be causing the next one down the line on the bank, which would be, let me think this through, International does them like I don't remember if international, I'm trying to remember. This is 2468, this is 1357. So it would be cylinder number 6 that could be causing the problem in number 8. You got to keep that in mind. Let her cycle one more time, see if we can get the fuel system primed back up, and we'll disable number 5. We'll have to probably do this again. Probably didn't wait long enough. I don't know why I did that. Probably pushed the wrong button. Number 5's fine. Number 4. Okay. Number 3. Number 2 is not doing anything too, but let's check it again. I've had to do this before too on these, is to kind of speed the process up a little bit. Sometimes you got to crack it and let some of that compression gas out of the filter head. Yeah, we got a bunch. See all that? It's all kind of like compression gas coming out of there. That's not. See all the bubbles in it? Aerated fuel. Better do something to make sure that doesn't fall over on me. I'm gonna cycle the key again. We were on cylinder number 2, if I remember right. Yeah. We'll let this thing do its whole cycle 2 or 3 times, and then it's kind of looking like number 2 may not be doing anything, but that'll kind of throw you off, though, is what I'm trying to tell you. You have to almost try to get all that air. You know, you can't go through there and drop them like that and expect a good result, you know. If you hear it clattering like that, because it might be aerating that fuel with that combustion gas, and you'll get a you'll what would you say, a wrong reading when you do a cylinder drop test. I know 8 for 8 doesn't matter. Every time I do number 8, it makes no difference. Okay, you ready? Okay, see, sounds better now, see? Let's go ahead and knock this one out. See, now it's fine. Before it wasn't. That's what I'm telling you. You got to make sure that you don't have that fuel aerated. Number 1. Let's go back to number 8. Number 8 never makes any difference when you disable it. So, and it might be number 8 that's causing all the troubles. So I'm gonna do another test here. I'm gonna look up the bubble test on my program and try to remember all the steps to deduce which one is 100% the cause of the problem. I know that you pull glow plugs. God, I remember something about pulling. It's been years since I did this. Last time I did this was was an 03. I did this on an 03, and I do remember capping one line and pulling a line off or something over here on the filter head. This one's got the banjo there. See, there's going to be a return line coming in from each cylinder head, and I think you have to isolate the bubbles by capping the cylinder head off, if I remember correctly. Okay guys, so what they want you to do is, I've already got to the section that I need to be in. P9 diagnostic trouble codes, DTCs 263 through 284. So I'm getting a 284, number 8, contribution. I had a number 5 too, but we're gonna work on the number 8 problem for certain. We know that number 5, when we cut it out, it makes a difference. So we're gonna go through this procedure, okay? So, they want you to do what they call a balance test, okay, which I'm not going to do that because I know that, just from experience, I know what the problem is. I know that the pickup's not going to run long enough. It's going to aerate the system and kill it before it ever gets done with that contribution balance test. So, they want you to do a relative compression test. I don't know if my scan tool carry out the relative compression test. Refer to scan tool manufacturer's manual or specification information on the scan tool setup, operation, and specific cables and adapters required. I don't know if this scan tool will do that, to be completely honest with you. I don't really know that. Let's get back in here and see if this... I updated this Autel scanner not too long ago. Maybe it has that function now. I've done lots of relative compression tests on John Deere's. Let's get in here and see if it will do a relative compression test now that it's been updated. You know what? I don't know if I updated the Ford stuff, actually. I needed it for a Dodge because I was recalibrating the actuator on the turbo. And I know I paid for this updates and I needed the Dodge. That's what I really needed. I may not have done the Ford updates, so we'll see if it's available. And if it's not, I'll go update it real quick and then maybe it'll be in there. And sometimes you'll have to go into things like hot functions, cylinder. That's the power balance test right there. So let's go back. Sometimes they're in the service menu. Powertrain, power balance, so it's not there. Got a feeling it's not going to be here. So you can go to control unit and go to PCM and then go to active test, and maybe it's there. It's gonna have to load first. Okay, fuel pump, IPR. I don't see it. I don't think I'm going to have that ability. Let me see if this is updated. There's a green arrow there. So, latest covered model, system program, blah, blah, blah. Is this for Ford? No, this is for something else. Well, where the hell is Ford at? Optimize function model. Well, let's get. See what happens. Please update system program first. Oh, okay. All right, so get latest covered model, libcoms, auto vent, get. Oh, we got to do this one first. So it's not going to let me do this one until I do that one. So I'll be back. We'll see if it'll do this after I update it. Alright, so I updated the Ford thing. Let's see if it's in there now. I doubt it's gonna be, but we'll just see. You never know. Had to update a bunch of other stuff, like the firmware and stuff in it before I could even do that, so. And then we'll get down to business, because I got a feeling that's not gonna make any difference. What we'll have to do is pull that filter off and cycle the key and fill up the full fuel bowl on the secondary fuel housing. And then we'll use the start wire. We'll leave the key off in here, and then we'll just use the start wire to put it up against the positive post of the battery and make the starter turn over, and we'll look for bubbles in there. Let's go to hot functions. Maybe it's in there again. You never know. What are we doing here? Brake bleed, cylinder, same thing. Power balance. The relative compression is not there on that. Go to that. Powertrain. Oops, I screwed that up. I don't want to do that. Oops, damn it, damn it, damn it. Good, kick it out. All right, relative, hey, it's there now. Cool. I'm glad I did that update, huh? Okay, so let's go to relative compression. Possible concerns, yeah. Basically a base engine problem is what's gonna this is gonna find. Okay. The relative compression tool will be limited to 2 consecutive test runs, followed by a minimum of 10 minutes for the starter to cool down. Apply the parking brake. Make sure it's in park. Set the ignition key on engine off. Make sure the battery is sufficient. Fully depress the accelerator pedal to the floor, wide open throttle, and hold. Okay. We've done all those things. Got our foot on the floor. Crank for 10 seconds or until test is complete. It's got good compression. Unable to perform test function. Well, that sucks. What a piece of shit, huh? Let's try it again, huh? So apply parking brake, which it's applied, it's in park. Key is on, engine off. Make sure the battery has sufficient to carry out relative compression test, which it does. Fully depress the accelerator pedal, wide open throttle, and hold. Okay, that's what I'm doing. Well, I'm not too impressed with their update. I'll tell you that. That's pretty much shit, isn't it, guys? Yeah, I'm not very happy with that. Well, you guys know just from experience, from listening to that thing crank, the compression's just fine. If you've got bad compression, you're gonna hear it. You're gonna hear a uneven crank. So I don't know why I did easy even twice. I know that the first time would be sufficient to fucking determine that that's not the problem. Now what we got to do here, guys, is we got to make sure this standpipe is completely submerged in fuel. So we're going to cycle the key and just kind of let it overflow. Okay guys, so I have the key off, all right? Got the key off. I'm gonna come over here to this wire right here and unplug it. See that wire? And then I'm gonna take this and stick it on this stud on the battery. Oops. now we have to isolate it. Okay? So what you're gonna do, they tell you to do this bubble test, right? I found, so what they want you to do, I'll tell you what they want you to do right now, without even reading that. Now I remember, which I don't do it the way that they want you to do it. They want you to take a balloon. Okay, so first of all, they want you to take the return line off, okay? And cap one side, and then either or, because there's a return line coming off each cylinder head. And they want you to take a balloon while you got one side capped off and put a balloon on the other side. And they want you to crank on it like I just did. And whatever side, if this side gets the balloon out, then you know that it's on this bank. We already pretty much know that cylinder number 8, we pretty much know it's coming from this driver's side bank. So what we can do here, guys, is I'm gonna cut to the chase, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna yard all this bullshit off of here, and then we're gonna start pulling glow plugs, and we're gonna pull number 8 glow plug, and when we take the compression away from that cylinder, we shouldn't have any more bubbles in here. But it may not be that cylinder. Let me read this to you real quick. You have to make sure you're changing the right part. You have to be a troubleshooter. Don't just think because you did a cylinder drop test on number 8 and it didn't make any difference that it's number 8. Read this right here. Okay, let me see if I can find it. Combustion gas in fuel rail test. This is the bubble test. Bubbles in the secondary fuel filter bowl indicate combustion gas is leaking into the fuel rail. Combustion gases displace fuel in the fuel rail, leading to incomplete injector filling on one or more cylinders. This typically occurs on cylinders adjacent to the leak source on the same fuel rail bank, and also appears as low contributing cylinders in the power balance test, depending on the severity of the leak and the balance and the length of time the vehicle has been operated. So if we want to do our due diligence here, guys, damn it, this thing's got a misfire thing on it, and it's sitting on that steel plate, and all I have to do is barely pop that, step on it, and it makes it misfire. We could pull this line off over here and cap it, and cap both ends is what we can do, and then we can fill that back full of fuel and then crank on it just to make sure, and leave this line open to this bank, and if we still get bubbles, we know for certain we're on the right path to number 8. All right, guys, so I've got this bank over here, the passenger side bank, isolated. I've got it capped on the filter housing, so if there's any compression gas, it cannot come through this line from that cylinder head and get back into this fuel. It's got to come from this head. So let's make sure that we're on the right path here. And let's, is that seeing where I need to be there? Making sure that you can see that. I think she's good to go more this way. Yeah, okay. Let me find my start wire. Let me get this intake horn assembly pulled off of the air cleaner out of my way. Now let's watch our bubbles and see if we get any bubbles in here. Yes, we are still getting bubbles in there. Okay, guys, so what I need to do now is I definitely know with 100% certainty that it's on the driver's side bank. And I'm going to go with my gut instinct, and I'm going to start on the back and work my way forward. And what we got to do now to isolate it to the cylinder, we've got it isolated to the bank. Now we got to isolate it to the cylinder. So there's a little bus bar glow plug harness that pops on, and they can be kind of a miserable son of a gun to get out of there. The O-rings get hard and brittle and they break. What I got to do now is drain some antifreeze out, get this degas bottle off. And then I got to pull the thickum, which is down here, fuel injection control module. Got to pull that off. And then I can get down there to these a lot easier. And all this stuff's got to come off anyway in order to get the valve cover off. And once we get there, we'll pull glow plugs, starting at the back, working our way forward one at a time. And we'll do that test with the start wire until when we pull that glow plug out of that cylinder, remember, we're taking the compression gas away and we're isolating it. And once we get to the point to where we don't see bubbles in there, we know what cylinder needs to be changed. And it's in one of those injectors is bad. I don't know what I was thinking, guys, but a little quicker way to do this is pull the inner fender out and get that off of there. Let me see if I can put this camera here for right now while I put my socket on my ratchet. Okay, and here's the glow plug, and these always do this here. It's not that big of a deal. Little plastic piece breaks right there, but just as long as you don't bust this piece here that goes down to where it seals up the rocker box, that's the important part. This light's in my way. Let's see if I can get it. It's not really a good place to put it, is there? Hang on a second here, guys. That sucker is just tighter than shit. Oh, I need an extension. That's the problem. I got a 3-inch extension on there. Maybe that'll work a little better. Now let's get the extension and socket off the ratchet. Okay, and then what I do is I go get my magnet. You need a tool cart. I got a big tool cart right here, buddy. I like my tool cart. It's mobile. It'll do 70, 80 miles an hour. Don't leave that loose in there and start cranking on it. It'll shoot through the fender there. Not a good idea. Okay, so we have no compression on that cylinder now. Okay, let's get the lights back up here where we can utilize those for our viewing experience. And let's do the old cranking method on it now and see what happens. That's number 8. We might have to pull out number 6. All right, guys, so I got number 8 glow plug out. That'll take the compression away from that cylinder. So here we go. There should be no bubbles. If that cylinder is the one, there should be, excuse me, there should be no bubbles in it. Okay. So now I'm going to throw that glow plug in there real quick. Let's go put the glow plug in the hole real fast. Give it the compression again. That way, if it's a problem on that cylinder, it has to go through that, you know, it has to go through back through that injector now. Right now, we basically created a path of least resistance for it, is what we did. I'm not sure that I got that in there right. Gotta make sure you get it in there correctly. Let's snug her on up. let's go do our test again. And I bet we got bubbles in there again. I'll put this up here this time, and I'll put you as a close-up view right here. I would definitely say that there's a problem with number 8 cylinder injector. Okay, he's on his way with the injector. I'm gonna go ahead, get the degas bottle off, pick them off, this valve cover off, and get the injector out of it. Okay, so here's the old injector. I need to put it back in the sack, turned in for a core, but there it is. So I've got, the only thing I got left to do is keep in mind we had the high pressure oil rail off, so it's going to take some cranking to get her to fire up because the high pressure oil system is going to be aerated as well now. I got the glow plug plugged back in. I don't have the inner fender in it yet, but let's go ahead and clear the codes on it. And let me get back into diagnosis. Ooh, I left a greasy fingerprint on my scan tool. Don't want to do that. Come on, baby. I'm going to clear the codes that are in there, in the PCM. So I cycled the key with the glow plug unplugged and all that stuff, so it's going to have a code for that. Let's go ahead and erase them. Okay. So, I don't think there's even really a need to, I mean, we could go to do our injector control pressure. It's going to take a little while. And we could read that while we're cranking on it. Oops, that is not plugged in very well, is it? Scan tool wasn't plugged in like it should have been. Okay, let's go to injector control pressure. There's a desired. There should be an actual injector control pressure. Where is it at? Desired. Well, that's kind of weird. Where the hell's... Where's that at? Fickum 48, that's okay. There should be an injector control pressure here. Well, that's kind of odd. I just looked at that the other day. Well, let's just see what happens here. I'll mess with that later, I guess. Oh, I got the start wire off. She's not going to do very well like that. I'm going to go ahead and put this on 40 amps and give her plenty of juice while we're cranking on it. The electric vacuum pump is running. I think he's got a vacuum, but that thing's constantly running. Some lube on that. The O-ring gets dry here on this part here, and then it won't snap together anymore. Now she snapped together. Okay. Little WD-40 on there. That was really smooth. That was not good. I knocked my battery charger over. Damn it. Poor old battery charger took a beating. I backed over it with a tractor one time. Okay. I think maybe we got our act together. Okay. You'll see the gauge here. Once the gauge moves on the cab, you're getting close. There we go. Hey, she's not clattering and banging and knocking now. Sounds like a 6-liter. Okay, well, I'm gonna pour the rest of the antifreeze in this thing. Put the inner fender in it and tell them to come get it. Definitely solved our issue. All it takes is one of those injectors to fail open like that and let that combustion gas go back into the fuel system, and it'll kill it. It'll just shove all the fuel back to tank, right out of the filter, and aerate the entire fuel system. So this necessarily wasn't a video about changing an injector, because those videos are out there. They're a dime a dozen. Hopefully this will help some of you guys diagnose one of these when they come into your shop. If it starts clattering and banging like that, it's getting air in the fuel system, and more than likely it's getting combustion gas into the fuel. All right guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching.